The Canon T3i was one of my first cameras when I first got started. It's an 18 megapixel APS-C camera that has a lot of features for somebody who's maybe just getting started or if it's your first camera. And, Canon was a brand that was my second choice. I first started with a Nikon D40, but a friend of mine had a bunch of lenses. And a little while after, I ended up switching to the Canon system for a while, so I had access to these lenses, which was very kind of him. So that kind of got me into the Canon system for a number of years, and I did go through a number of bodies, but the T3i was one of the first ones that got me started. So I have a lot of fond memories of this camera. So what is there to like about the Canon T3i in 2026? It's been quite a long time since this camera came out, and there's been a lot of replacement models or upgraded models since then. But this is still, I think, an excellent camera to get started with because you can get them for such a good price. Here in Canada, I've seen them anywhere from $100 to $200, which is, a really great value for, a DSLR that has interchangeable lenses and takes really good images for, for what it is. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the positives, some of the things that are quite good about the camera, and some of the things that you might want to consider or alternatives that you might want to look at if you're thinking about a camera like this. I've always found Canon cameras to be ergonomically very enjoyable to use, very comfortable to hold. They have a very nice design aesthetic to them. There's a lot more rounded corners, a lot more, kind of ergonomic features, I think, that make the camera very comfortable to hold and use. And the T3i is, a perfect example of that. It has Canon's kind of signature top dial for changing parameters, which is kind of the focal point, I think, of a lot of Canon cameras. It's just got buttons everywhere. It's very easy to get to the features that you need to get to. Even though the camera is considered a less expensive camera, it does have access to the primary controls that I'm going to want to get to. So it has the kind of famous Canon top wheel dial here for shutter speed. And, if you do want to get to aperture, there's a button on the back here. You press that, and then the top dial lets you change the aperture. ISO button is nice to see on the top. This is something that Nikon didn't add for a lot of years to their entry-level bodies, so it's nice that Canon has a direct ISO button on the top. So you have access to the three primary controls very easily on the camera. And, the buttons themselves are also assigned to things like white balance, your autofocus mode. You can change exactly, the drive mode as well, which is nice. So there's quite a lot of things that you can get to directly on the camera. One of the big selling features of the T3i when it came out, especially over the T2i, its predecessor, was the Vari-Angle display or the screen. And I think that's a great feature for a lot of people. Whether you're doing photography or video, it's nice to be able to have a screen that you can flip out, that you can see yourself if you're doing filming, or if you need to get to some interesting angles, if you're shooting low or high. The Vari-Angle display lets you do that very easily. Some people don't like it because it's off axis from the center of the camera, and I can understand that a little bit. But I would think rather have this than have no flip screen at all. And you can also close it and protect the screen, which I think is a nice feature as well. As far as video goes, the camera shoots 1080p video up to 30 frames per second. So, it's perfectly fine for doing, your average video work. It's not going to do 4K. It's not going to have really nice autofocus in video. It's going to be manual. So, if you're doing very basic video, this can certainly do it. But I wouldn't look at it for a high-end video camera for sure. I tend to use it more as a still camera, so for me it has all the features that I need for sure. The autofocus system is decent. It's a 9-point kind of traditional Canon focus system that they've put on a lot of their cameras of that era, and it works fairly well. The thing that I would say that is a little disappointing in Canon cameras is in their APS-C crop sensors. I find the viewfinders to be a little bit small, compared to some of the Nikon cameras that I was used to shooting with that were APS-C. The Canon viewfinder is a little small, and I think it's a little noticeable. You get used to it very quickly, but it would, be nice to see a little bit of a larger viewfinder in the cameras. One of the other nice features, of course, is it does have a built-in flash. So if you need a fill flash, or if you need to do something where you're stuck and need a little bit of light, having a built-in flash is always nice on the camera. Hot shoe, of course, so you can put a larger external flash or triggers if you're doing any kind of studio work. So that's kind of nice as well. And the last thing I'll say about the Canon system is I do like the menu system. I do like the way Canon software works. It's very colorful. It's very simple to understand. Everything is very color coded for the different sections that you'd be talking about. You know, red for image quality, you know, blue for kind of your playback and settings, green for your My Menu settings. And My Menus are nice to use where you can pick favorite features and put them in your own menu just so you can kind of choose what you like. So very nice and easy to use menu system. And also, you know, if you need to make some quick changes, they have the Q button or the quick menu button, which I've always liked on Canon cameras as well, where you can, you know, basically see the screen of settings, move around with the four-way controllers, select what you want to change, and just change it very simply. Canon also added a, you know, by default, a quick little 2-line or 3-line pop-up that gives an explanation of what the features are and what you might want to use them for. And you can turn that on or off as you get more comfortable with it. So very nice software, nice menu system. It's very easy to understand Canon cameras, which I think is nice. So, you know, fun camera to use, very easy to get started with. If you're interested in, you know, kind of a little bit more detail about settings and how to get into the camera, let me know in the comments. I have had a few people ask, you know, to do a more detailed dive in how I set up a camera. And I'd be, you know, willing to do something if enough people kind of comment that that's something they'd be interested to know is, you know, what all of the functions do as far as the menu settings go. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see more of. Some other nice features of the Canon T3i are that it uses standard SD cards. So there is only one slot, but it is a standard SD card. So, you know, very easy to get memory cards to work in the camera. And the other thing is nice, it has about just under 600 shot usage on the battery. So you're going to get very decent battery life in the camera. Connectivity is also very good on the camera. You do have a microphone in, so if you're doing video, you can use an external mic to improve your sound quality, which is really important. And there's also USB 2 connectivity for transferring files and things like that, which is really important. I think the biggest reason overall why in 2026, if you're, you know, getting started or maybe looking for a backup camera, why you would consider something like the T3i. And I think really what it is about the ecosystem. If you're a fan of DSLRs like I am and you want to get into the Canon system, this gives you kind of a great gateway into the system for not a lot of money. The main reason why is you can get into the EF mount or the Canon lens system. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why somebody would want to look at something like this. There's so many excellent lenses out there for Canon. On here right now is the 50mm 1.8 EF lens, autofocus lens. These are, you know, the nifty 50s. They're really, you know, inexpensive. You can get these for $150, $200 all day. Really nice image quality. All the images that you're seeing throughout this video were shot with this lens. There was just a great selection, everything from very wide angles to long telephotos and sport lenses to special effects lenses and macro lenses and things like that. So just a great way to get into, you know, maybe building your lens system. Because in my view, it's way more important to kind of choose a system, get the lenses that you want. And the body is nice, but it's great to be able to build your lenses and then maybe upgrade your body down the road. The one thing that I would consider is if you're getting into this camera, maybe try to buy EF lenses as opposed to the EF-S lenses, which are the crop sensor only lenses. Buying the actual EF lenses, you can use those on full frame bodies down the road when you decide, or if you decide to upgrade to something like a Canon 6D or a 5D or, you know, something like that, or even a modern mirrorless camera, you can use those lenses nicely, you know, with an adapter. So the T3i in 2026, I think, it can be a great choice for the right person. Like I said, if you're getting started, if it's your first camera and perhaps your first DSLR, to get something this inexpensive that has a really nice sensor. It takes nice images, especially in good daylight. Once you get into lower light, it's going to struggle a little bit because of its age, because of the size of the sensor, the technology that we use in the camera. It does have an ISO range up to 6400. I wouldn't personally be comfortable using this camera above 16 or 3200, especially if I was delivering those pictures to somebody who was perhaps paying me. But if you're using, speed lights, or if you're using flash, you could use this camera all day and it would be just fine. So I think it would be a great choice if you can get one for the right price. This camera here brings back a lot of memories to me. I, used it for a number of years, and it was a great camera for the time. Today, I would seriously consider looking at something that's full frame if you have the budget. The Canon 6D in particular, I think, is a very similar sized body. It's not that much bigger than this. You can get them for, maybe twice as much. I've seen them here in Canada for $450 for a 6D, which is amazing for a full frame camera. You're going to get that much bigger viewfinder and the bigger sensor, so it's going to be better in low light, have better dynamic range, that kind of thing, and native access to the lenses. One thing that I think is great for beginners is you can get an APS-C camera like this and get started. I think it's a bit of a complexity to start to consider focal lengths and crop factors and things. So if you have the budget, I recommend to beginners to get a full frame camera if you can, so that the lenses you're using are working at the native focal length, so that you're not having to figure that out. You're not thinking, in doing math in your head all the time, if that's something that you're thinking about why focal lengths or why lenses look a certain way. It's just nice to shoot in a 35 millimeter standard format, or in what they call full frame format. So if your budget's there, I would always recommend getting a full frame camera. But if not, T3i is a great choice. Really nice images, like I said, lots of great controls, very comfortable camera to use. Decent video if 1080p is fine for you. A lot of YouTube content, a lot of video is still shot on 1080p, so don't feel like you have to have 4K unless maybe you're doing client work and they need it, or something like that. Or if you're going to be taking video more than you are going to be doing still photography, which is then something you want to look at something else for sure. So the Canon T3i, check it out if you can find one. At a good price, great camera to get you started, or as a backup for another camera if you need it. My name is Mike Kovalev. Thanks very much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.